The Banshee is a figure deeply rooted in Irish folklore and mythology. This female spirit is traditionally associated with foretelling death, particularly within certain Irish families. The term Banshee derives from the Irish language, meaning woman of the fairy mound, linking her directly to Ireland's fairy tradition. She is not a malevolent entity, but rather a supernatural messenger tied to specific families, serving as an omen of impending loss. Historically, the Banshee's origins can be traced to pre-Christian Ireland. By the medieval period, she had become associated in folklore with prominent Gaelic families, including the O'Neills, O'Briens, and O'Connors. Tradition holds that the Banshee attends only families of old Gaelic lineage, though later folklore often broadened this to include families whose surnames begin with O or Mac. The belief that she appears exclusively to those of pure Irish blood is a later popular interpretation rather than a strict rule within traditional sources. Descriptions of the Banshee vary across regions and accounts, but common traits include her appearance as a woman dressed in white, grey, or sometimes black, often with long flowing hair. Some traditions describe her as young and beautiful, while others portray her as an elderly woman with red eyes from weeping. She is frequently said to be seen near rivers, lakes, or ancient sites, sometimes combing her hair with a silver or bone comb. Her most distinctive feature is her wail, which resembles the traditional Irish funeral lament performed by women hired to mourn at wakes. This practice dates back centuries and involved rhythmic vocal expressions of grief. The Catholic Church attempted to suppress this practice in the 19th century due to its perceived pagan associations and its emotional intensity. However, it continued well into the 20th century. Accounts of Banshee cries appear in Irish folklore collections from the 17th century onward. During the Cromwellian period, stories from counties such as Wexford described lamentations heard before the deaths of Gaelic leaders. Though these accounts survive primarily through oral tradition rather than contemporary written records. An often cited 18th century tradition links a Banshee to the O'Connor family in County Kerry, where a wail was said to have been heard outside a castle on the eve of a lord's death. In Ulster folklore, the O'Neills were among the families most frequently associated with the family Banshee. Later tradition retrospectively linked eerie cries to the flight of the Earls in 1607, interpreting them as symbolic omens of the collapse of the Gaelic order, rather than literal eyewitness accounts. During the Great Famine, folklore from counties such as Mayo and Galway records an increase in reported Banshee activity, with many people claiming to hear wails amid widespread death. Over 1 million people died from starvation and disease, and oral histories preserve these stories as expressions of communal grief. In this context, the Banshee functions less as an individual death omen and more as a supernatural embodiment of collective mourning. The legend also traveled with Irish emigrants. In the 19th century, Irish communities in the United States, particularly in cities such as Boston and New York, reported hearing Banshee cries coinciding with deaths in Ireland. Irish American newspapers occasionally printed anecdotal accounts of immigrants hearing unexplained wailing before receiving letters or telegrams announcing family deaths. These stories illustrate how the Banshee adapted to a transnational setting, maintaining emotional and cultural ties to Ireland. In literature and the arts, the Banshee appears as a symbol of Ireland's mystical past and enduring sorrow. Scholars debate the Banshee's nature. Folklorists associated with the Irish Folklore Commission generally classify her as a fairy woman or ancestral spirit. Others have drawn parallels between the Banshee and figures such as the Morrigan, a goddess associated with fate, death, and prophecy in early Irish mythology, though this connection remains interpretive rather than definitive. Psychological explanations suggest the Banshee represents culturally structured expressions of grief, shaped by centuries of conflict, colonization, and emigration. Natural explanations, such as wind or the cries of animals like foxes or barn owls, have also been proposed, though believers maintain a supernatural interpretation. The Banshee's cry is traditionally heard at night and is often associated with storms. It is described as beginning low and rising to a piercing shriek. Folklore sometimes claims that multiple Banshees appear at the deaths of great figures, forming a chorus of lamentation. Importantly, the Banshee does not cause death. She announces it, allowing time for spiritual preparation, such as the administration of last rites in Catholic tradition. Today, The Banshee remains a powerful figure in Irish cultural memory. Collections held by the National Folklore Collection at University College Dublin preserve 20th century oral testimonies describing encounters and beliefs. For many people of Irish descent, the Banshee endures as a symbol of resilience and remembrance, a supernatural witness to a history marked by loss, endurance, and collective sorrow.